A commotion from within the chamber drew their attention. The doors swung open to reveal an elderly Nephari physician, his expression grave. "Your Highness," he addressed Thorin with a formal bow. "The Emperor asks for you." "Alone?" Thorin turned to Elise, conflict evident in his expression. "General, Commander Vaughn remains in my custody." "No harm comes to her, understood?" Dravox nodded stiffly. Thorin squeezed Elisa's hand briefly before following the physician into the Imperial chambers. Left in the tense corridor, Elise assessed her options. The guards watched her with barely concealed hostility. Her weapon had been confiscated at the palace entrance, standard protocol for diplomatic security. Ambassador Reeves and the rest of the human delegation were likely already detained. Quite convenient timing, wouldn't you say? A smooth voice broke the silence. Minister Valyora, the Emperor's chief advisor, approached with measured steps. Her silver-blue skin was marked with elaborate scarifications denoting her high status. "The first human delegation in half a century, and suddenly our Emperor falls ill to an Earth toxin. If Earth wanted the Emperor dead, we wouldn't be stupid enough to use a poison traceable to us," Elise countered. Valyora's lips curved into a cold smile. "Perhaps. Or perhaps that's exactly what you wanted us to think." She circled Elise slowly. "The prince has taken a curious interest in you, Commander. An interest some might find inappropriate." "His Highness and I have had only professional interactions," Elise lied smoothly. "Really? Then you weren't seen entering the West Tower earlier this evening?" Valyora watched Elisa's expression carefully. "Do you know the punishment for a human engaging in unauthorized personal contact with Nephari royalty?" Before Elise could respond, the chamber doors opened again. Thorin emerged, his face a mask of controlled emotion. "The council awaits us in the Grand Hall," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of command. "General Dravox, Minister Valyora, attend me. Commander Vaughn comes as well." Valyora's eyes narrowed. "Your Highness, it would be improper." "The commander remains with me," Thorin cut her off. "My father's orders." The Grand Hall had transformed from a place of celebration to one of accusation. The full council of ministers, resplendent in formal robes, sat in a semicircle upon raised platforms. Below them, the human delegation stood under heavy guard, Ambassador Reeves at their center. "Prince Thorin Zal, heir to the Nephari throne," announced the ceremonial guard. Bearing the words of Emperor Vikos. Thorin ascended the central platform, motioning for Elise to remain at its base. He surveyed the assembled council with regal composure. "My father, Emperor Vikos, speaks through me now," he began, his voice resonating throughout the hall. "He has identified his poisoner." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Ambassador Reeves straightened, bracing for accusation. "Minister Valyora," Thorin continued, "step forward." Shock silenced the hall. Valyora remained frozen beside General Dravox. "This is absurd," she finally sputtered. "The Emperor's food is tasted by 3 separate officials before reaching his table," Thorin explained, his tone measured. "All 3 are dead. Yet you, who supervised the tasting ritual tonight, remain unaffected." "Your Highness," Dravox intervened, "these accusations require evidence." "Evidence secured within the Emperor's chambers," Thorin confirmed. "Including Minister Valyora's personal seal on the container of the poison, a poison manufactured to appear of Earth origin." Guards moved toward Valyora, who suddenly drew a concealed weapon. "The old ways must be preserved," she hissed, aiming not at Thorin but at Elise. "The bloodlines must remain pure." Elise dropped to one knee as the weapon discharged, the energy bolt searing the air where she had stood. In the next instant, Thorin was between them, a shimmering shield projected from his ceremonial armband deflecting a second shot. General Dravox moved with surprising speed for his size, tackling Valyora to the ground. The weapon skittered across the polished floor. "Take her to the detention level," Thorin ordered. He extended a hand to Elise, helping her to her feet before addressing the stunned council. My father suspected a plot against both our worlds. Minister Valyora is but one conspirator in a network determined to prevent peace between Nephiri and humans. The council erupted in chaotic discussion. Thorin raised a hand for silence. By imperial decree, all human delegates are cleared of suspicion and released from custody. His gaze found Elisa's, holding it meaningfully. And a new era of cooperation begins tonight. As the diplomatic machinery lurched back into motion, Elise found herself alone with Thorin in a quiet antechamber. Your father really identified Valyora? She asked. My father slips in and out of consciousness, Thorin admitted quietly. But I found evidence in his private records. He's been investigating Valyora for months. You took an enormous risk. No greater than the one you took coming to meet me tonight. His fingers intertwined with hers, the sensation both alien and intoxicating. This conspiracy goes deeper than Valyora. There are factions on both sides who will stop at nothing to keep our worlds apart. And us? Elise asked, the question encompassing far more than she dared articulate. That, Thorin replied, lifting her hand to his lips in a gesture both human and entirely his own, depends on how willing we are to defy the void between our worlds. In that moment, surrounded by danger and uncertainty, Elise knew her path forward had irrevocably changed, not just for herself, but potentially for two civilizations standing at the crossroads of history. The following days unfolded with frantic intensity. Emperor Vikos clung to life, his condition stabilizing but grave. The attempted assassination had shattered the carefully constructed facade of diplomacy, exposing the deep rifts within Nephiri society. As Prince Thorin took temporary command, Elise found herself in the unprecedented position of liaison between the human delegation and the royal house. The traditionalist factions are mobilizing, Thorin informed her during a private briefing in the Secure Communications Center. Holographic displays surrounded them, showing protests erupting across 3 Nephiri colony worlds. Valyora's co-conspirators are attempting to frame her arrest as my power grab rather than justice for treason. Elise studied the intelligence reports with a tactician's eye. Ambassador Reeves has informed Earth Alliance leadership about the situation. They're concerned but supportive, conditionally. Meaning they want assurances, Thorin surmised. They want verification that your progressive stance isn't merely a ploy. Elise met his gaze directly. Centuries of distrust aren't easily overcome. Thorin's expression remained neutral, but she had learned to read the subtle shifts in the color of his skin, now tinged with a deeper blue that indicated frustration. What would convince them? Access to the historical archives you showed me. Scientific exchange regarding the genetic compatibility research. And Elise hesitated, a formal statement renouncing the interspecies prohibition laws. Before my father's death or recovery. That would be viewed as usurpation. Earth needs to know which Nephiri they're allying with, the old regime or something new. Thorin turned away, facing the galaxy map that dominated the center of the room. Stars and planets glowed in miniature, the contested borders between Earth Alliance and Nephiri space clearly delineated. What I'm contemplating would break 2 centuries of tradition, he said quietly. Many would call it treason. Elise approached him, standing close enough to feel the energy that always seemed to radiate from his form. Would it be the right thing for your people? Yes, he answered without hesitation. But at what personal cost? The question hung between them, laden with unspoken implications. Their clandestine meetings had continued through the crisis, strategic discussions that inevitably turned personal, touches that lingered longer than protocol would permit, glances that communicated more than words dared. General Dravok's requests entry, announced the room's security system, breaking the moment. Thorin stepped back, resuming his royal bearing. Granted. The imposing general entered with military precision, bowing formally. Your Highness, Commander. The Emperor has regained consciousness and requests an audience with both of you. Surprise registered on Thorin's face. Both of us? His exact words, Your Highness. The imperial medical chamber hummed with advanced technology. Monitoring devices surrounded Emperor Vykoz's bed, where the once imposing ruler now appeared diminished, his silver-blue skin faded to a dull gray. Yet his cosmic eyes, so like his son's, remained sharp with intelligence. "Leave us," the emperor commanded the medical staff, his voice weaker than his presence. When they had gone, he fixed his gaze on Elise. "So. You are the human who has captivated my son." Elise maintained diplomatic composure. "Your Majesty, I serve as liaison between." "Spare me the diplomatic pretense," Vykoz interrupted. "I may be dying, but my intelligence network functions perfectly." His attention shifted to Thorin. "You've been accessing restricted historical archives. Consulting with genetic scientists. Preparing to overturn our most sacred laws." Thorin straightened. "Father, I can explain." "No need." The Emperor's hand rose weakly. "I've watched you, son. Waiting to see if you would discover the truth on your own." His gaze returned to Elise. "Come closer, Commander Vaughn." Elise approached the bedside cautiously. The Emperor's withered hand extended toward her face, pausing just short of contact. "May I?" he asked, surprising her with the request for permission. When she nodded, his cool fingers touched her cheek, then traced the line of her jaw with scientific curiosity. "Remarkable," he murmured. "The compatibility is evident, even to my old eyes." He withdrew his hand, a wry smile twisting his lips. "History repeats itself, it seems." "Father?" Thorin questioned. Emperor Vykoz sighed deeply. "Computer, access personal archives, authorization Vykoz Imperial Final." A holographic image materialized above the bed, a much younger Vykoz standing beside a human woman, their expressions intimate and joyful. Her name was Sophia Kincaid, the Emperor explained, his voice softening with memory. Earth Alliance xenobiologist, assigned to the Cultural Exchange Program before the Schism War. "We were close, as you might have guessed." Thorin stared at the image in disbelief. "You never spoke of this." "I was crown prince then, as you are now. When the traditionalists engineered the war, I was given a choice: renounce her and embrace tradition, or lose my birthright." Vykoz's expression hardened. "I chose the crown, believing I could effect change from the throne. Instead, I became imprisoned by it." Sophia Kincaid, Elise repeated, accessing her neural implants database. "She disappeared during the early conflict. Presumed dead." "Protected," Vykoz corrected. "I ensured her safe passage to a neutral system before I married your mother, Thorin. The official histories claim I led the purge of hybrids, but in truth, I diverted many to sanctuary worlds. Including my own son." The revelation hung in the air like a suspended explosion. Thorin stepped back as if physically struck. "What are you saying?" he demanded. "You had an older half-brother," Vykoz confirmed. "Sophia bore my child before the war. I've protected his descendants in secret for 2 centuries. The last of his line now serves in the Earth Alliance Navy, a Captain Jackson Reed." Elisa's mind raced through personnel records. "Captain Reed leads our most advanced research vessel. He's considered a tactical prodigy." "Hybrid vigor," Vykoz noted with grim satisfaction. "What the traditionalists feared most, that together, our species might become something greater than either alone." Thorin's expression transformed from shock to determination. "Why tell us this now?" "Because I'm dying, son. The poison did its work, merely slower than intended." Vykoz reached for Thorin's hand. "The throne will soon be yours, and you must decide what kind of ruler you'll be. Will you repeat my mistakes? Or will you have the courage I lacked?" "The council will resist," Thorin warned. "Which is why I've summoned the Nephari High Court." Vykoz smiled at their surprise. "One final imperial decree before I join the ancestors. The prohibition laws will be struck down, and I will publicly acknowledge my first son's line." His gaze shifted between them. What you two choose to do with that freedom is your own decision. 2 days later, Emperor Vikos addressed the assembled Nephiri court and invited dignitaries from across the galaxy. Seated on his throne for the last time, surrounded by medical support systems, he revealed the truth of the Schism War and his personal history with humanity. The decree abolishing interspecies prohibition laws was signed with his trembling hand and countersigned by Prince Thorin as heir apparent. Not all reacted favorably. Several ministers resigned in protest. General Dravox quelled a brief uprising among the traditionalist Guard factions. 3 colony worlds threatened secession. Yet for every voice of outrage, others emerged in support. Scientists eager to pursue cooperative research. Citizens who had hidden mixed ancestry for generations. And most surprisingly, Captain Jackson Reed himself, arriving with an Earth Alliance delegation to meet his royal uncle and half-cousin in a historic reconciliation broadcast across both civilizations. Amid the political upheaval, Elise found a moment of quiet with Thorin in the palace gardens where they had first spoken honestly. Earth has officially recognized your claim to the throne, she informed him. And offered a permanent diplomatic mission, with myself as ambassador if you approve. Thorin smiled, the expression now familiar and treasured. A diplomatic arrangement only? That would be the official capacity, Elise replied carefully. Though I believe both our civilizations would benefit from closer cultural exchange. He took her hand, their fingers intertwining in what had become a natural gesture between them. My father has formally abdicated. The coronation ceremony is tomorrow. I know. I've been helping with security arrangements. What you may not know is that I've been researching Earth customs as well. Thorin's free hand produced a small box. In particular, the human tradition of formally requesting partnership. Elisa's breath caught as he opened the box, revealing a ring unlike any she had seen, a band of Nephiri crystalline metal that seemed to capture starlight, set with stones that shifted color like his eyes. I understand humans traditionally kneel for this, Thorin said with gentle humor. But Nephiri royalty are forbidden from such gestures. Perhaps we might meet halfway. They stood together beneath the twin sons of Nephiri Prime, neither kneeling nor standing on ceremony, but meeting as equals. Elise Vaughn, will you stand beside me, not just as ambassador or ally, but as partner and equal? Will you help me forge a new path for both our peoples? The rational part of Elisa's mind catalogued all the complications, political implications, cultural differences, biological considerations. The part of her that had been awakened in his presence silenced those concerns. Yes, she answered simply. Though I should warn you, Earth custom dictates that partnerships are equal. I won't simply stand in your shadow as royal consort. I would expect nothing less, Thorin replied, placing the ring on her finger. Where it touched her skin, it seemed to bond with her essence, adapting perfectly to her form. In fact, I'm counting on it. The coronation ceremony the following day broke with centuries of tradition. Emperor Vikos, too frail to attend in person, observed via holographic projection as his son took the oath of leadership. Captain Reed stood as honored witness, representing both Earth and the hidden bloodline now brought into the light. When the ancient crown was placed on Thorin's brow, he did not sit upon the throne as tradition dictated. Instead, he remained standing and extended his hand toward Elise. The age of isolation ends today, he announced to the assembled dignitaries. As my first act as emperor, I present Ambassador Elise Vaughn, who has agreed to formalize our world's new relationship through personal as well as political union. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly as Elise took her place beside him. She had exchanged her Earth Alliance uniform for ceremonial attire that combined human and Nephiri design elements, a diplomatic statement in fabric and form. Our union, Thorin continued, symbolizes what our civilizations can become together. Not erasing our differences, but celebrating what makes each unique while discovering what we might achieve in harmony. From his projection, Emperor Vikos nodded in solemn approval, tears visible in his cosmic eyes. The reception that followed brought together humans and Nephiri in celebration for the first time in 2 centuries. Scientific delegations exchanged research. Cultural representatives shared art and music. Military leaders cautiously discussed cooperation rather than confrontation. Near midnight, Elise slipped away from the festivities, finding herself drawn to the West Tower Observatory where their journey had truly begun. She wasn't surprised when Thorin joined her minutes later. "Escaping your own coronation celebration," she teased. "Following my heart," he corrected, moving to stand beside her beneath the star-filled dome. "Much as I did when I first broke protocol to speak with you. Do you regret any of it?" Elise asked, genuinely curious. "You've upended 2 centuries of tradition in less than a week." Thorin's arm encircled her waist, drawing her against his side where she fit perfectly despite their physiological differences. "My father spent 2 centuries regretting the path not taken. I intend to spend mine without such regrets." Beyond the dome, the stars stretched endlessly, no longer divided by arbitrary borders. 2 civilizations faced an uncertain future, their fates now intertwined through the choices of 2 individuals who had dared to defy convention. "What happens now?" Elise asked, not as a diplomat but as a partner. Thorin's lips found hers in answer, their kiss illuminated by the light of countless stars, witnesses to a love that had rewritten galactic law and opened the door to a future neither of their worlds could have imagined alone. "Now," he whispered against her lips, "we write the next chapter together." SEO optimized YouTube title. Their love was forbidden by galactic law, so she chose rebellion over her throne. Best HFY romance story. SEO optimized YouTube description. Experience an epic tale of forbidden love between Commander Elise Vaughn and Prince Thorin Zal that defies galactic law. When ancient prejudices threaten 2 civilizations, their connection sparks a revolution that will forever change the fate of humans and aliens alike. This thrilling space romance combines political intrigue, royal conspiracy, and passionate devotion in a story that proves love transcends species. Watch as sacrifice, courage, and determination rewrite the stars in this captivating HFY adventure. #HFY story #forbidden love #alien romance #sci-fi story #galactic romance #space opera #humanity FY #alien prince #interspecies romance #epic love story. Leonardo AI image prompt. Create a cinematic, hyperrealistic 1920 by 1080 image of a human woman with dark hair and hazel eyes standing beside a tall, regal alien prince with silver-blue iridescent skin and cosmic purple-blue eyes. They should be in a majestic observatory with a transparent dome showing countless stars above them. The lighting should be dramatic with starlight casting ethereal shadows across their faces as they stand close together, their hands almost touching. The scene should capture the tension and attraction between them, with a sense of forbidden connection. The alien prince should be wearing ornate royal attire with platinum details while the woman wears a sleek, formal uniform with subtle Earth Alliance insignia. Add a sense of both intimacy and grandeur to emphasize their personal connection amid galactic politics.